This is the Audi RS3 with its legendary 5-cylinder from Audi. It produces 400 horsepower, which is 33 horsepower more than the predecessor, and also 500 Newton meters, which is also 20 more than its predecessor. The special thing about that engine is that you're going to be able to get the maximum Newton meters, so 500, at 2,250 RPMs up to 5,600 RPMs, which is very, very good compared to other cars in that segment. The maximum amount of horsepower you're going to be able to get from 5,600 up to 7,000. So basically, once that Newton meters starts to fade off, you're going to be able to get the full amount of horsepower. And all of that for a starting price of 63,500 euros. This one right here is going to cost you 79,000 euros because there are a lot of extras to it, just like this carbon spoiler, which is going to set you back 950 euros extra. However, you also have a black rear window with no windshield wiper, which makes the car look really smooth in my opinion. You also have the sedan version or the limousine version, which you only get in America. And it's also 15.3 centimeters longer than the Sportback version, which you can't obviously get in America. And we also don't have the Sport exhaust system, which would set you back 1,000 euros extra in Germany. However, in America, it would come with the Black Optic Plus package, which is in total going to set you back 1,000 euros. I really like the design on the back. You also have some fake stuff right here, which might not look that nice, but I think it looks pretty decent. So let's look at the trunk, which you can also operate by just pressing twice on the key, and then it'll open automatically. It's not the biggest opening in here, which might be a little bit problematic, but you do have a pretty decent size for the size of the car. Actually more than the Sportback version as well. And you also have a pass-through, which we'll look at a little bit later once we're in the car. So that's basically it for the back. And it's also a little bit hard to close it. So if you could just go like that, it's not going to close. You actually have to push it down pretty far. And you might not want to touch the carbon spoiler too much. So the handle's also not the nicest. Let's look at this side, where we have a fuel tank of 55 liters. And with a WLTP of around 8.9 to 9.4. It gives a pretty decent range, but we'll see about that once we're actually driving, how far we've been able to get. You can also see that we have the Kia Lamy green color on here, which is one of the RS specific colors that comes with the RS3, which looks very nice in my opinion. Down here we have our 19-inch wheels with summer tires on there, and these are 5Y bespoke black design wheels. I don't know how to pronounce them correctly, but that's just how they look. With summer tires, you could also, first of all, get semi-slick tires, which are very nice. And we also have some insulation in there as well, which makes the noise in there a little bit less. We also have the black package, which we'll look at a little bit more in the front. And I really like this side skirt on there. It looks very, very nice with just the aerodynamic touches. We also, again, have some carbon touches on here, which is going to set you back an extra 630 euros for the side mirrors in carbon. And with the tires, you can definitely see the big brake caliper on here. They've actually improved it from the previous RS3 by 20% with the cooling system. So you have way more cooling performance in there, and they just look very nice. And you can also see right here, we have this kind of fake, well, actually it is fake aerodynamic touch, but it looks very nice from the side, but there's no feature to it. So let's move on to the front, where we can definitely see the Black Optic Plus package, which looks amazing, with the first honeycomb grille in the front, which looks very nice. And then we can also see that we have the Matrix LED headlights, which in my opinion, are a must, because you get this one special feature, which is when you press on the opening, you have this welcoming feature, which just shows that in beautiful animation. And in my opinion, that's a pretty nice touch. You can also get that on the back, but just with that. And you have this RS3 and the racing line on there, which just looks beautiful. We also have some more aerodynamic features in here for your air inlets, and they are actually real. There's nothing fake to it. The car's also gotten a little bit wider, with in the front being 33 millimeters wider, and in the back also 10 millimeters. And also you have, the car is lowered to the A3 by 25 millimeters, which is a fairly decent amount, and also by the S3, I think around 11 millimeters. Don't judge me on that. And we also have our negative wheel chamber, which has been increased, and that just gives a little bit more of a performance in the corners and just in general. And that is also why the Audi RS3 performed magnificently at the Nordschleife with a staggering time of 7 minutes and 40 seconds and 748 milliseconds, which is insanely quick and faster than anybody else in that segment, or that car segment. That is also due to the fact that we have beautiful aerodynamics and also a very light car with an astonishing 1.6 tons or 1,575 kilograms, which is, in comparison, 200 kilograms lighter than the Polo GTI, which this car has all-wheel drive and also the RS torque splitter and an engine that produces 400 horsepower. And it's also bigger. So that is an astonishing feature, and you can obviously get that lighter with some ceramic brakes and stuff like that. But enough jablabble, let's see what the car can actually really do. Okay, I forgot to do the Audi the Audi test, but we got 3.77 seconds. We have been able to get 3.65 seconds. That's how fast we've been able to get. And Audi claims 3.8 seconds. So we're definitely within that range, but personally we've been able to get 3.65 seconds. Let's do it one more time to see actually what Audi claims. So 3.81 and Audi claims 3.5, which obviously because it's not a GPS tracking device, it's going to claim the speedometer 0 to 100. So 3.5 for that, and we got 3.81. We'll do it one more time to see if we can maybe get down to that 3.65. There we go, 3.69, which is definitely a nice value. 6.9, always good. It is fairly loud in here. That's, well, we don't even have the Sport exhaust system, but we'll actually do a quick sound check just to see how it sounds. Obviously, OPF and stuff like that kind of ruined most cars, so we'll see how it sounds. And yeah, no, go. Well, it certainly doesn't sound too bad. With the Sport exhaust sound system, it would probably sound a little bit nicer with the pops and bangs, or more of them, most likely. But in my opinion, for a normal, non-upgraded, I'd say, exhaust system, it sounds pretty decent and not too bad, considering you have OPF and a lot of other norms in there, with the rev limiter as well. If that thing goes up to 7,000 RPMs and standard, while standing, it definitely sounds nice. So one thing that you might hear straight away is that for the first time, the RS3 has full variable flap control, or dynamic controls. So you can definitely hear that. We're in RS performance mode right now, so it shifts up very, very late, which is beautiful, and it also shifts down very early, which is nice, and you can just hear those pops and bangs, which sounds pretty cool. Obviously, we don't have the Sport exhaust system, so it doesn't sound as nice. But one thing that we definitely have is the RS performance. Just look at how well it performs in the corners. I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear me now because the car is fairly loud, but just the stability that you have in the corner is great. Obviously, we are 25 millimeters lower than the default or the normal A3 that you can purchase, which makes it for a very nice center of gravity, which is fairly low to the ground. We also have a negative wheel chamber of 1 degree, which makes the car just stick to the road very nice and have a very nice feeling in the corners, which is beautiful. So while we're driving in the city, let's quickly take a look at the different views they have in the RS Performance mode. You obviously have this, well, this is the specific one for the RS Performance, which I'm not a big fan of in my opinion, because the RPMs go from the top to the bottom, which is not the nicest. You can change it in the menu to RS Performance, which is just the normal one, which I really like because it looks, well, it's a little bit more normal going from bottom to top, and you can definitely see it changes at 5,000 RPMs, which is just insane. And then you also have just the other one, the RS Sport. One thing that you also only get in the RS Performance heads-up display, well, the RS Performance, is the heads-up display, which shows you, I don't know if you can see it right now, but it shows you when to shift up. You can see it, and it gives you that little rev limiter or rev meter, which is pretty cool. I really like that, and you can only see that in the RS Performance mode. One thing that you can also feel in the RS Performance mode is that the exhaust is very prominent, it's very loud, and you also have just that touch, you get that gas pedal feeling, which is so direct, with the increase of the RPMs just being very high at all time in the RS Performance mode. Shifts down at around 3,000 RPMs, and then it shifts up. You're always going to be at around 4,000 RPMs when you shift down, and it just makes it for such a great exit out of the corners. If we accelerate out here, and just how quickly it gets up to that speed, it's just amazing with that 400 horsepower. One thing that we also have for very good cornering is the RS torque splitter, which enables the different amounts of torque going to the rear wheels. So you can have 50% of the total torque, you can put that into the rear, and then it's gonna change the wheel that's in the most outer position in the cornering. So if you're going into a left turn, it's gonna be the right wheel because it has the most distance that it has to travel. So it's gonna put all of that 50%, so 100% of that 50, all the way onto that right wheel, which makes it just for a great exiting, and you can put that power down very, very quickly. If we turn in here, we can you don't have any understeer, oversteer, which previous RS models had, which is just beautiful in this model. It's so perfect trying to go out of corners. You never feel like you're gonna lose grip here in a second. And obviously we do have, well, if you want to lose grip quickly, we have the RS drift mode, which I'm not going to put on because you can have it right down here, but it doesn't allow you, or you can put it on in normal roads, but you're not allowed to from, well, insurance reasons. But you can put that on. I heard it's supposed to be very tough controlling the drift mode in the RS torque rear mode, because it's a fake kind of drifting, because obviously of the torque rear splitter. It just feels a little bit, well, it feels very fake, and it doesn't feel that nice. So the top speed of the RS3 in normal configuration is going to be 250. We've been able to get 257 if you want to see a video on that, top right corner of your screen right now. And you can also limit or get that up to 290 with the RS Dynamic Plus package, which is going to enable that top speed up to 290. If you want to go fast, definitely get that. I think it's also a thing that I would personally choose, because 254 in RS3 might seem a little bit low. WLTP claims around 8.9 to 9.4. You're probably going to be able to get 9.5. If you really try, you're going to be able to get 9. But with the efficiency mode, it really helps you with that, because you're limited to 80% of the power, so horsepower and also your Newton meter. If you do a kickdown, you're going to be able to get 100%. In efficiency mode, you're obviously going to have a more relaxed driving mode. You're not going to have your exhaust system open, so your valves are not going to be open. Your pedal feeling is very, very smooth, so it takes a long time before you actually get down onto a power. And it's just way more relaxed. The suspension is also way smoother and stuff like that. It's an RS car, so the suspension is not going to be the greatest. It's going to be fairly stiff. Other modes, for instance, are the comfort mode. The comfort mode basically, well, it doesn't limit you to any power anymore. Your valves are still closed. The steering feels a little bit more direct, still fairly smooth, very comfortable. The gas pedal is also a little bit more direct. It feels more, you get more power, obviously, because you have 100% power. And there's no gliding function that you have in the comfort mode. One thing that might hinder you when you're driving in the city, for instance, is that the turning radius of the car is actually fairly big. You have 12 meters, which is fairly big for such a small car, or relatively small car. But you also have your rear view cameras and stuff like that, so you're going to be totally fine with all your sensors and stuff. It's not a big issue, but it does feel fairly big when you're trying to turn out somewhere. The room in the back of the RS3 is actually fairly decent. You do have a pretty good amount of legroom. Your feet can also tuck in under the seat below. Headroom is not the best if you're tall. For me, it's okay, but if you're like above a meter and 85, you're definitely gonna hit your head on the top. And if you're accelerating, you're gonna hit your head on the back of the roof. That might not be the case in the Sportback, but in the sedan version, it definitely is. We also have a nice little detail going through the back, like a big old lamp system which is in there. You don't have to point the camera up. The seats in the back, obviously just like in front, they're out of leather. In the summer, leather, in my opinion, is just not the thing to go for. You definitely want to go on to some other fabric, because you're just going to sweat in them a lot. However, you do have, again, these green touches in here. You also have some LED in the side and also on the front. You can also optionally get that. Sound system, in my opinion, definitely upgrade that one. But in the window also, they go all the way down. I don't have the key, so I can't open that all the way. One thing I do like, you can flip this over as well. You do have 2 cup holders in here, but another thing that you can actually do is you can pull this lever and you can flip it through, just like, or unlike in the Genesis GV70 that we had, you can actually fit some stuff in here, so you can put your skis and whatever you want in here. So it's perfect for road trips. Well, it's not perfect for 4 people, but it's pretty comfortable in here. You can definitely sit in here for a pretty decent long time. You also have 2 USB-C type ports in the back and also some ventilation in the back. The front of the RS3 looks very sporty and also very practical, in my opinion. We have a lot of nice little design touches, which I really like. For instance, you have these extra RS design packages in green, in our color, which just makes the leather stitching green. We have the vents of the, well, we have the vents in green. We also have the, let me show you, the seatbelt in green with the green touches on here. Looks very nice. And also the steering wheel in green. Also the steering wheel, we have a nice Alcantara in here. You could optionally also get like a flat out bottom steering wheel, but that is not available in our configuration, because we have the adaptive driver assistance, which if you don't have, you could optionally also get that. On the steering wheel, you also have the first time an RS button, which we'll look at more once we're actually driving. I really like that they kept a lot of buttons in here. The only really touch sensitive controls in here is the navigation system, which is very well integrated into the display on the front. And we also have this kind of like Urus design, like Lamborghini Urus design with the vents in here, which looks very, very nice. I like that. One thing I'm not a big fan of, again, is the piano black, which I just hate in basically every single car. So my final verdict, I really enjoy this car and I think it's a very beastly car. There are a couple of things I would personally change in my personal configuration. For instance, a better sound system. So the Bang & Olufsen sound system for a daily driver just makes it seem a little bit nicer. Also, because it's an RS, you definitely want the most powerful sound you can get. So maybe an aftermarket sound system, exhaust system, or the Sport exhaust system. That's my personal preference. Also, a different color might be due after driving it for a long time because it just sticks out so much. So maybe a black or white, whatever you want. But I really like the color, so I might not even change it for my personal configuration. But in general, for 63,000 euros, you can't really go wrong with this car. It's just a small sport car with very lightweight, and it just sticks to the corner so well. It's just a joy to drive on your daily basis. So if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.